Welcome to Gabe's Cave. I'm Marty, your host today for this Wednesday's episode of Meet the Artist. Before we get into all that, let's talk about some of the events that we're going to be at. OKC Pop Culture Convention, June 24th and 25th in OKC. We're going to be there. We'll be doing panels and interviews with the celebrities and artists there. OKC HorrorCon, August the 5th and 6th. We'll be doing the panels and interviews with all the artists and celebrities there too. Then one of our favorite places is Cowtown Comic-Con in September 30th through October 1st in Dallas, in the Fort Worth area. So we'll be there doing panels and interviews at that show too. So them are the next three shows that we plan on being at. So make sure if you're anywhere in that area, make sure you come by and say hi to us. And we appreciate it very much. From there, let's go ahead and thank our sponsors. Without our sponsors, none of this could happen. I want to talk a little bit about our sponsors. RPGhiring.com. If you are somebody you know is interested in a new career, be sure to go to rpghiring.com. It's a wonderful opportunity. You can work from home. You can work out in the field out of one of our offices. However you like, we cater to your need. We'll make sure that we train you. I say that they train you. They do all that. But be sure to look them up if you or somebody you know is interested in a new career. rpghiring.com. All right. Well, let's talk about our topic today before we go into the giveaway. This is our Wednesday episode. We are, I'm really digging the new Wednesday episodes. I like the middle of the week episodes. I like having, we're trying to grow and, we're trying to do things a little bit different. So before I get into all that, let's talk about today's topic, Meet the Artist. Our special guest with us is none other than Shane McCormack. Shane, how are you doing?
Hi, Marty. How are you?
I am absolutely incredible. And well, thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
It's been a lot of fun. You've been with us for how many series now? From the get-go?
Must be 3 or 4, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you've been with us from the very start, I believe.
I have, yeah. I could be, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely. I must go back and check the years I've done, yeah.
I really believe that you've been with us from the beginning, and it's been fun. I mean, your work is amazing. But before we get into your work, we have to do something. We have to give away last week's cards, and those cards were from Travis Kennison. So I will let you do the honor. Can you give away his cards?
I can indeed. My pleasure.
All right. Let's give them away. Congratulations to the winners. We hope you appreciate them as much as we appreciate giving them away, and how much as we appreciate the artists that are doing the work on these cards. Travis was phenomenal, and his work's phenomenal, and we just thank all of our subscribers for backing us and supporting us every week. We love to give back to the community, and that's one thing about this. So Shane, thank you again for joining us for this week's Meet the Artist.
Thanks for having me.
You're an amazing artist. You've been, I mean, how long have you been doing this?
Sketch art I've probably been doing since probably 2009, 2010, something like that. So a long time. It doesn't seem that long. Just when you look back on the sets that I've done and the people I've worked with. Yeah, it's been yeah, over 10 years at least.
Well, Shane, remember we're changing the name of sketch cards to art cards.
Art
Big
cards, okay,
art
yeah,
cards, because let me go ahead and tell you, Ronnie Crowther. You know who Ronnie Crowther is, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Ronnie is big on that. He said, we used to do sketch cards.
yeah,
That's when you just sketch out something is really quick,
exactly.
and then
Yeah, yeah,
send it in, and that's the way it started off.
yeah.
Your work is beautiful, beautiful. I mean, I love your style of work. I mean, it's different every time. I've seen your portraits, I've seen your, but this, I mean, you went with a phenomenal theme,
Yeah.
and I,
I'll tell you how I came up with that. Basically, what I try and do, if you look back at some of the earlier sets I've done for you, I would try and mix it up and I do a lot of portraiture and that kind of thing. And I might have little mini teams throughout some of the cards. So this one, when I started on the set, I said, okay, I'll do a couple of Batman animated because I, love Batman animated. Um, and then I realized it was the 30th anniversary since the series had launched. So then I thought, oh, I'm going to do a nice set. And I love coming up with a team and then, having them all look the same. And I gave them all the little white border there so that they kind of gave them that kind of vintage feel, like, retro kind of, trading cards. So my idea behind it was, yeah, these were like all cards that, maybe back in the day could have been released and you had to collect them all and whatever. So once I came up with that theme, I was just inspired, and I just, like I say, I love drawing Batman animated. I then had to kind of pick, characters that were really, well, some of my favorite characters. And obviously you had to have Harley Quinn and Joker and stuff in there, but I easily could have done another 15 cards. No bother. So yeah, I was really pleased how they turned out. And as you say, they are a little bit different than my usual portraiture. But that's what I like doing. I like just mixing it up, and kind of changing styles. And that's probably, I would say that's probably my two styles. Is maybe the realistic portrait, and then that kind of line work. I've done a lot of kind of Disney work as well, just using that kind of line work. Because I did work in animation years ago, and I was a cleanup artist, so I really love doing that kind of fine line work.
so what? How'd you actually get started? Have you been an artist all your life?
I've been, yeah, well, pretty much so, yeah. Like even when I was in school, I was always getting A's in art, and I just gravitated towards that. Probably wasn't academically great in other areas, but art, I was always, yeah, top, kind of A's and whatever. So then, after I left school, now this is many, many years ago because I'm very old. After I left school, I went and I did a portfolio course, and then there was a leaflet going around saying that Don Bluth Studios were in Dublin and they were looking for people. So like Don Bluth did American Tail, Land Before Time, all that kind of stuff. All Dogs Go to Heaven. So I applied and I got a job as a cell painter, and it was a fantastic place to work. I was there from 1988 to about 19. Let me see, probably 1996, and it was
A
amazing.
sail painter, like for each sail. Yeah,
Yeah, each cell. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So that was my job. I'd be given a bunch of cells, and I would have to paint every single one of them. This was the days before, computer painting and all. And we would Xerox the drawings onto the cells, and then we would hand paint them. So then, I was in cell painting a few years, and then we were basically told, yeah, listen, cell painting is now defunct. We're going to do it all digitally. So I had to retrain then, and I retrained as a cleanup artist. So a cleanup artist basically gets the animator's rough drawings, and I put a fine line on them, and obviously maintaining the look of the character throughout all the drawings, and a continuity there. And then they would be Xeroxed onto the cells, and then those cells would be, sorry, not even Xerox on the cells. Well, they would, but then they would be digitally painted or, whatever. So, yeah, so I got into cleanup and then key cleanup artist. So I would do every few drawings, and then I'd hand it to somebody else who would do all the in-between drawings. And again, we all had to match the same style. So really, yeah, sorry.
I was going to say, so small drawing has been pretty natural to you.
Yeah, now the animation drawing would be kind of, so big. Kind of, they were, depending on what you got. And then if it was a pan scene, the drawings would be huge
Right.
because it would obviously be, to be panned on the background or whatever. So, it was more kind of just all I was dealing with was a fine pencil, and you just had to put weight on the line and obviously have the character on model, as they say. So, if you've got 10 or 20 different artists all working on, just say, um, Charlie from All Dogs Goes to Heaven. Um, so every one of those artwork would have to look the same. It'd all have to look like they were drawn by the same person. So you really couldn't have your own distinctive style. Now, within, cleanup artists, you would be able to spot certain people's work, but it would all have to look pretty much uniformed. So after that, then once Blutz, I went into a couple of different studios, and then eventually most of the studios here were kind of closing down due to kind of CGI coming in and all that. So I got out of the business then, and I got into photography, and I worked in a photography store for ages, and then I went back to college. I got my degree in visual art and particularly photography. And it was around that time my friend Veronica O'Connell, who was also a great sketch art I should say art card artist. So she was doing cards at that stage, and she said to me, "Oh, you should get into it." And I was like, "Oh no!" And she showed me these new markers, the Copic markers, and I was like, "How do you use them?" I just was like, "Well." So I started to do some bit by, and started to gain confidence. And then I got into some really small, sets, like really small sets. And that kind of just built up my profile a little bit. And then over time, I started getting kind of bigger, small sets, not say the likes of Tops or whatever. But then eventually I did contact Tops, sent in some of my work, and I was approved. So for years, I worked on Tops and the Star Wars. Then I got into Rittenhouse, worked on Star Trek, worked on The Walking Dead back in the day, The Hobbit, a couple of sets of The Hobbit. So stuff like that. And I don't really do any official sets at the moment. The only sets I do say is yourself, purely because your terms are just fantastic, one of the best out there. You give us full creativity. Your pay is brilliant. You pay on time. You keep in touch all the time. You do everything that an artist really appreciates. When dealing with sets or dealing with art, companies. So I love doing your work. I also do work every year for Marty, the Island Dreams, which is for charity. So again, I love to do them, because usually it is fairly open for what you can do. And then at the moment, I'm doing a set for iconic creations in Greece, and I'm doing their Treasure Hunters Part 2. And again, they're really, really lovely to work with. The card stock is gorgeous, and it's pretty much free reign as well within certain guidelines. So I try to do, if I think my style would suit the team, I try to work with them each year. I've also worked on Ornor cards, Richard Parks, the Ultraman. They're really fun to do as well. So it's that kind of stuff. So I'm not really doing, say, any of the major ones, but I don't really mind because I just think some of the major sets maybe weren't
You know,
getting a little,
I think
yeah, awkward to do.
I think your name is so big in the card industry already that everybody knows who you are. You've been doing it for so long, and so do you really have to work on the licensed sets that don't pay much? You know,
Yeah, not really. No, the way I look at it is no, and I think a lot of artists shouldn't. I just think the scales are just being tipped, so it's almost getting to the stage where okay, we'll pay you $1, we won't approve any of your cards, and we'll also call around to your house and give you a kick in the ass. There are terms. I just think don't work for that. I know it's great to say you're working on Star Wars or whatever, but I just think we deserve much better, and especially some of the art, as you know, some of the art that you see, they're not sketch cards, they're art cards, they're like mini masterpieces, and I just think people should just take a step back and go, do you know what? I'm worth more than this. And there's so many little sets out there like yourselves who just treat us so much better, and you can still do fantastic work. And so I'm not bothered at all. I've done that. If that box was ticked, so I don't need to keep doing it. I'd rather just look elsewhere, and there's so many interesting sets and teams out there.
I feel
So
bad.
that's kind
We
of,
feel bad. I'll tell you what, we feel bad, Shane, because I know what we pay. I know what other companies pay, and I know we
yeah,
pay more than everybody else.
yeah, yeah,
But we still think I'm telling you right now, that card right there, people would buy. I mean, the Poison Ivy, the Batman. Just think if these were in a licensed set, people would buy boxes for
yeah,
$200 to $300 a box just to pull one of your art cards out of there. And
yeah,
I look at that as um, paying an artist $1 to $3 for a card that they hand painted, drew, everything.
yeah,
I look at what we pay. I know we pay quite a bit more than that, but and plus, I know we do banners and we do tablecloths and we do all kinds of different things and advertise you guys. Um, but still, today I would pay more than that.
yeah,
I know what I would pay
yeah,
if that card was in the wild. I would pay quite a bit. And what we're hoping one day, do we have to have a licensed product? I mean, Gabe's Cave is already a licensed trademark company. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
We're not selling them, and that's one thing great about what we're doing and what we're getting and how we can get away. Now,
yeah, yeah,
we pay the artist to work on our cards. Then we turn around and give them away to our subscribers. Now, if our subscribers decide they want to sell them, they can sell them for whatever they want, and it don't
yeah,
come back on us.
yeah.
So I really love what we're doing, and we've thought about doing licensed trade sets and different things like that. But is it really worth it?
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Do you know what I think it would be great to do? Now, as I said earlier, I do love that it's kind of open. You're like, you give me whatever 10, 15 cards, and it's up to me to do what I want. But I don't know whether you've thought of this. Maybe one year, just say, listen, everybody, you're getting your blanks. The team is just say, horror, or say, kind of vampires, or the living dead, or whatever, some kind of general theme, or like outer space sci-fi. So there's a little bit of a kind of, I know, okay, I have to do 15 cards based on sci-fi horror. So it's up to me to pick. I could do up my own, I could make up my own characters, or I could pick, okay, I'm going to do the Thing, or I'm going to do Invaders from Mars, or whatever. So it would be interesting, maybe that way it's not so much licensed work, but you're putting a little bit of a framework on it.
Well,
That could be something you could look into.
you're gonna laugh because you're ready. I have been. We've made a new one, and I am making a list because there are some things that I want to do in Series 5.
Brilliant.
Like there's going to be once, like I know there's, like, we're going to do a vehicle this year.
Oh, okay.
In Season 5, we want a pop culture vehicle. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one of the cards has got to be a pop culture vehicle. One of them's going to be a famous actress, actor, anime
Yeah.
character, and there was a couple other things, but I've got it written down somewhere in my notes, and it's going to be on the list of Series 5 when I send them out pretty soon.
Excellent.
And it's going to be kind of a little bit different. We want like
Yeah.
one Star Wars character. We want
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
because that's always a fan favorite. And,
Yeah. Of course.
so it's going to be a little bit different instead of, and then there's going to be two, artist choice. They can do whatever they want. Which the good thing is we're not telling you what to draw, but we're going to tell you, like, you're a famous actress or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have still the creation to paint whatever you want, but we're going to have
Exactly.
like one category for each thing, and I think it's going to be a little bit different, a little bit neater.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a slight framework there, but it still allows the artist to get very creative.
Yeah.
So that's brilliant. When is Series 5 launching?
Yeah, yeah. So let's go over your cards because I know I just know a lot of people love anime Batman, the animation Batman, and I think that your cards are incredible. The line work is amazing. The detail on each one of them, I mean, my goodness, it's amazing. So let's talk about them. So,
Okay.
Ronnie Crowther's going to want this one. I know he likes all cat women, all cat women.
Yeah.
Uh, so you got the Joker. It's just brilliant. You got Batman, Robin, Two Face, Harley Quinn. It's got Scarecrow, Penguin. Got the Joker again. You got Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, he's my favorite. Love Mr. Freeze.
I do too, actually. I
Yeah.
really do. And in the comic, actually, finally getting the first Mr. Freeze was really cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't know his name.
That's just a Mad Hatter.
That's right.
So
That's right.
yeah, he's kind of like Alice in Wonderland kind of Mad Hatter kind of character.
Do you know what's cool about this one?
Yeah.
It's the first time I've seen anybody ever draw it,
Oh, cool.
and so I think that's really going to be a fan favorite this week because it's something that you don't see. You see Batman, you see Harley Quinn, you see
Yeah.
Catwoman,
Yeah.
Joker,
Yeah.
but you don't see it, and that's why I guess I just didn't recognize it. So this
Yeah.
this definitely going to go one of the quick ones, and then you got Batgirl, I think, or Batwoman.
Yeah.
That's
And you've got Clayface.
Clayface, Bane.
Yeah.
We was talking about Bane yesterday, or this
Oh,
this
yeah.
week in the back. Then you got Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
Just we don't have a lot of people that makes borders anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got an artist. Named Rob Broussard. He always does borders on his.
Yeah.
I love to see the borders. It really just makes, to me, it makes the cards pop.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah. And I always feel it just gives them that kind of retro Mars Attacks feel, kind of,
Right, right.
I just think, yeah, that's what as I said to you at the start, like very often when I am planning a set, whatever, whether it's this, set or something else, I always try to just have a uniformity, with all the cards, because I just think it makes them all together stronger. Now, every card works on its own, but I just think when they're all laid out, because very often, even with my own work, if I just kind of do them willy nilly, kind of, it just looks like every single one of them is slightly different, or, I mean, they're all fine, but I just think they stand stronger if there is a kind of uniformity. Like, you've often say, if I was to do, say, 5 Star Wars cards, and I just had a kind of circle around, the portrait and kind of had a star field and that, with all 5 of them lined up, it looks just really uniformed, and it looks really kind of even more official, kind of like these are a set the artist thought about the design. And that's what I like as well. It's not just the artwork. I love coming up with the design and the kind of almost the kind of graphic design of it as well.
So
And especially if the card has some of the sets, when you get the blanks, they might have a little logo on them.
mhm.
Very often, a lot of artists just draw straight over that. But I actually like to incorporate the logo into my design, so that it's not covered up. And I just think the artwork looks a lot stronger if you just think along those lines before you put pen to paper or pencil to paper. Just think about, well, what do I want them all to look like when they're finished.
Are you open for commission? Do you do
Always open for commission.
always open? So
Yeah, always open.
so here's my question. What is your full-time job now?
So I probably would be kind of freelance art, yeah, at the moment. I try to do this full time, and I've got a few other little things kind of going on as well. But yeah, probably art would be, yeah, full time. So I'm always really appreciative of commissions, and like I know people all have different ways of doing commissions, but the way I always do it, and it's probably shooting myself in the foot, but if somebody contacts me for a commission, I ask, like, okay, what are they after? If they have an image to send me, fine. If they say to me, look, I want Luke Skywalker, you pick the image. So again, I'll go through, I'll pick an image, I'll do a rough sketch, send it to the person. If they're happy with it, I then proceed. And I usually don't look for any money until the person is happy with the artwork. Now, I know some artists look for, kind of a part payment, whatever, but I always just feel it takes the pressure off me. If I know they haven't parted with any money, it just takes the pressure off me to kind of do the best job as I can. So once I finish the card, if they're happy, then I look for payment. And so far that really hasn't gone against me. People have been very good. But very often I get, and I'm sure most artists can relate, very often I get people saying, "Oh, I love your artwork. I want a commission." I go, "Yep, here's my prices. What are you after?" And then I never hear from them again. I just, if people could just write back, yeah, too expensive, or, oh, listen, let me think about it, fine. But just to never hear from them again, you're like, well, what did I say? Like.
You
So,
know, I believe that I hear this a lot with artists
yeah,
about their work, and I'm gonna go ahead and say this. You don't tell me how much I'm worth, and I'm not going to tell you how much you're worth.
exactly,
if
exactly. Yeah,
if you
yeah,
pick your
exactly.
if you say your price is this, then that's telling me how
Yeah,
much your work is worth,
yeah,
and nobody should ever come back and say, well, that's too high or whatever. It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
like you said. Well, I'll tell you what, I think I'll pass. I
yeah, yeah,
be straightforward with somebody when it
yeah,
comes to that, and
yeah.
that's
But
okay.
but what I also try to do as well, and I've dealt with some of the same people over and over, and it's great, and they love my art, and but with anybody that contacts me, I always try and sweeten the deal. So like if you came to me and said, "Look, I want how much for a card," and I go, "Right, it's X." Now if you said to me, "Well, I really want a Luke Skywalker and I want a Princess Leia," well, I'll say, "Well, okay, I'll do both of them and I'll give you a discount." So, and then if you turn around and say, "Well, I really want a Harrison Ford as well," I'll give you even more of a discount. So I'm always open to doing deals, doing discounts, sweeten the deal. I'm not so rigid that one card is X and the three cards will be three times that. I will always try and work with the person as much as possible because, I know what it's like. I've commissioned artwork off people. Um, and I really appreciate the person who keeps in touch, keeps me informed along the way, tells me this is your sketch. I'll have it done in a week, um, whatever. Now I know life happens, and sometimes maybe okay, listen, it won't be done in a week; it'll be done in 2 weeks. But as long as you keep in touch with the customer and tell them exactly what's happening, I think that's the main thing. It's just when artists kind of disappear, and you're chasing somebody up, and maybe it's 6 months later, and you're like, yeah, you've heard nothing, and if you've even paid as well, I think that's not great. Like you wouldn't really tolerate it in another business. So I think you just have to be really professional. But as I say, I'm always happy to work with people that need commissions. And I've done some fantastic commissions in the past with people. Really, and we've just worked together. And the more kind of freedom they give me, I always think the artwork is stronger, the finished piece is stronger, you know. Like I've been doing it long enough now, I know kind of, what looks best or what I feel. I haven't said that now. If somebody says, "Well, look, I really want Luke Skywalker getting his hand cut off," that's fair enough. I'm not going to say, "No, no, I'm going to do him this way." That's fair enough. But if somebody goes, "I love like Luke Skywalker, what can you come up with?" Then I'll come up with the best I can, and I'll work with the customer. So,
Do you do any sketch covers?
yeah, yeah, I've done quite a few. And again, yeah, always open for them, for commissions. Yeah, I've done actually some Batman animated. I've done some fantastic Harley Quinn. I did a fantastic Harley Quinn actually. I'll show you. It's one of my favorite pieces that I have it now on my business card. I don't know whether you can see that.
Oh wow.
So that was the original blank, cover Harley Quinn's Suicide Squad. So then that was the Harley that I did. But I just loved it so much. I said, "Oh, I'm going to put this on my business card." So
Well,
just think it works really well.
I noticed last season your cards, or we call it season because
Yeah, yeah.
we do episodes, and I know y'all call it series, but I think on series 3 you did all women, and it was
Oh,
you did
good.
a
Yeah,
women's
yeah,
set that I know you can draw sexy women.
yeah. I like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. I've done a lot for, as I say, Marty's cards, Island Dreams. I've done a lot for that.
so
Uh,
what is your favorite woman to draw?
oh God, that's a tough one. And let me think.
Because you
I
did
do
you
like
Marilyn
I do like
Monroe and Betty.
Yeah, yeah, I do like Betty Page. I've worked on a couple of Betty Page sets back in the day, and they were fantastic to draw. Big, big Betty Page fan, as you can see.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, not there we are. She's there somewhere. But Yeah, so yeah, like I love drawing Wonder Woman, either Gal Gadot or Linda
Carter.
Carter. Yeah, I love drawing her. And again, it's just she's so iconic, and just with the colors and all, and she's there in the background. Up
So,
there.
so who is the most iconic? Who have you met that you? It's like your favorite. Who's the most famous person? Well, it ain't even got to be famous. Who's the person that you met in person
Yeah.
that you've that's been like a dream? You know what I mean?
Let me think. Um, that's a tough one. I'm a huge fan of Hellboy, so I was over in Toronto one year, and Ron Perlman was there, and Mike Mignola was there, so I met both of them. Got I have a Hellboy 2 poster, and I got them onto it. That was fantastic. So I've been chipping away at that for years. Got John Hurt before he passed away. So that was fantastic. Um, I talking about Batman animated. I met Kevin Conroy. He was here in Dublin at a convention.
Okay.
Not last year, the year before, and he was fantastic because I grew up watching Batman animated and would never have thought. I know he did a lot of conventions in the US, so when he was announced for Dublin, I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. And he was everything you could hope for. He was so nice. I got a few comics signed by him. I did a Batman sketch he signed, and I got a Batman animated figure. And like I say, he was just so nice, and I got my photograph with him, and then he did a talk afterwards, and he did the voice. So, and the fact that he passed then recently, it's just made it even more kind of poignant, that I did meet him. So that was absolutely fantastic. Um, Other than that, yeah,
Well, that's
trying to
cool.
think because I've met quite a few at different conventions.
So do you still go to conventions?
Yeah, I do. And actually, last March, I did my first Artist Alley convention here in Dublin. Had my Gabe's Cave banner. Thank you very much. Um, so I didn't know what to expect. It was my first because I've always gone to this convention in Dublin. It's probably it's the biggest in Ireland, and I've always gone to it. And I've always thought I'd love to get into the Artist Alley. So I applied and I was accepted. So I was delighted. So I didn't really know what to expect or what to prepare. So I just brought a lot of kind of original art, prints, brought some comic covers, and was there for the 2 days. And it was brilliant. It was just a fantastic experience, just meeting people, who didn't know me from Adam, but like were saying, oh my God, your art's fantastic. Did you draw this? So it was a lovely little ego boost. But I sold a lot of art, sold some prints, met some other artists, and it was brilliant. Really, really enjoyed the 2 days. So it's on again in August, and I've already put my application in. So I think this August I'll be even more prepared, and I kind of know what sells and what's popular. That was
You need a tablecloth then, don't you?
I do need a table. I didn't know you. Yeah, I don't have one, so if
So
you can help me out, that would be fantastic.
you got a banner, so now you need a tablecloth, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
That's one thing. When we were there, everybody else was taking out their tablecloths, and I was like, "Oh my God, I don't have a tablecloth." So yeah, I'll have to organize one.
well, I'm
But
working.
it was great. It was really good fun, and the guests weren't great. Now there was a few Walking Dead and a few others, but in August they've got some great guests lined up. They've got Linda Hamilton from Terminator, Michael Biehn, and Robert Patrick. So three Terminator guests. So that's pretty good. And having Linda Hamilton and Michael Biehn together, you've got a great opportunity to get two signatures on whatever. So, and they're still announcing guests, a lot of voice artists and stuff. So I think August is going to be even better, and of course the weather will be a lot nicer. So, but it's always so well attended. It's just a fantastic weekend. You've got all the different stalls and whatever, and then the artist alley, and then the autograph alley. So every year I think it's getting bigger and bigger. So it's great to be part of it, and to be actually there, you know.
Well, well, we appreciate you coming on board with us, joining our adventures. It's been a fun time today, and I appreciate you definitely. Working with us. You're wonderful to work with. I mean, every
Thank you.
company ought to be looking for you. So, where can people find you on? Do you use Instagram, Facebook? What's your
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm on probably the best way they can find me is if they go to my website, mrharrylime.com. They can see a lot of my artwork there. They can contact me through there. That's probably the best to see my artwork. I'm also on Instagram at Harry Lime. And again, I post up kind of work in progress and just stuff that I'm working on and outside of art cards and whatever. Sometimes I'll do illustrations and stuff like that. So, and a few personal photographs, whatever. So yeah, Instagram at Harry Lime and then website mrharrylime.com.
Have you noticed on the end of each episode we've added all the artist names in their where to find them at?
Brilliant. Yeah, yeah. That's great.
I didn't know if y'all have noticed that. I haven't had anybody comment or tell me about it, but we changed that at the very end where we do, the credits.
Yeah, yeah.
We've added all the artists for each series to that. But anyway, well, let's talk. I've got a couple of announcements I need to announce. We just started our actually Kickstarter is going to be about over by the time this airs, so it's okay because it airs next week. But we have a Kickstarter for our new comic book, Adventures of Gabe's Cave, The Legend of Maynard Lake, which is really cool. We're excited about our first one. We have about 5 different short stories that's going to be out through the Adventures of Gabe's Cave. Aquatos Comics has really done a phenomenal job. All the artists that are involved in it have been really great. Another thing, we have Thursday at 7 p.m. our dollar auctions start out. So look us up on Gabe's Cave for the Thursday night. It's called Gabe's Cave After Dark with Uncle Nasty. And anyway, if you know Uncle Nasty, he's crazy. So anyway, again, we appreciate you coming on board with us. Our sponsors again are rpghiring.com. Thank you for all you do, because none of this would happen without our sponsors. We have a phenomenal sponsor. They pay for all this. And so, I've always said I really appreciate them. They've been with us from the get-go, and it's been great. So, well, Shane, again, thank you for coming on board with us. It's great to meet you.
My pleasure. You too, Marty.
And thank you to all of our supporters out there. We appreciate everything you do. Hope you love these cards as much as I do, because I really don't want to give them away. But that's what we have to do. So good luck, and have a great day.